So caution laps will count for series.
It is on YouTube, yes.
Yep. Live.
They call it the Big E. Since 1954, Eldora Speedway has grown to be one of the most legendary dirt racing venues in all of the United States. Tonight, after a fun season opener at the dirt track at Charlotte, the best drivers in the Bootleg Racing League will look to come out on top and build momentum at the world's greatest dirt track. Who'll come with the victory tonight? We'll have to find out here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the beautiful virtual Outdoor Speedway for the second race of the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series season. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Gary Weaver. Devin Henry will be joining us as well from the pit lane tonight. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Now, this is such a legendary racetrack. Let's take a look at your GSRC lap guide for the best way around this prestigious racetrack.
Welcome to the world's greatest dirt track, Eldora Speedway. Located in Rossburg, Ohio, northwest of Dayton, Eldora opened in 1954 and has been one of the premier dirt tracks in the country ever since. The half-mile clay oval, now owned by Hall of Fame driver Tony Stewart, is the perfect track to learn the ropes in any dirt car. It's versatile in its ability to host great racing across the board, including the winged and non-winged sprint cars, modifieds, and all three late models. And Eldora features fast and sweepy corners with a slight bend down the back straight, mainly attributed to a rounded-off corner exit in Turn 2. Now, like any good dirt track, the best drivers can adapt their style to many different lines depending on the track's condition at Eldora. Get a good run on the cushion, you'll be flying around the outside of the track. Be careful, don't jump the cushion in Turn 1. That wall is unforgiving. Around the bottom of the track, Turns 3 and 4 can be the more daunting corners, especially as the berm works its way down to the concrete wall. So who will join the likes of Stewart, Steve Kinzer, Donnie Schatz, and Scott Bloomquist, the other legends of dirt racing who have claimed victory here at Eldora? Let's find out. Enjoy the show.
That was a look at your GSRC lap guide for the best way around Eldora. Now let's bring in my co-announcer for tonight, Gary Weaver. First things first, Gary, let's talk a little bit more about this racetrack. What else can you add to the discussion point when it comes to Eldora?
Well, for this week here at Eldora, it's going to be quite interesting, where the top line is the pretty much most famous line, essentially, for being run, where the cushion takes place. 24 degrees of banking at only a half mile, or 0.8 kilometers. But relatively for this track, again, top line's going to be the main line to be running, and it's going to be similar to last night as well. Not last night, last week, I should say, rather, where the inside lane is mainly going to be used for at least getting the best runs off the corner or making passes on the inside lane. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more drivers dive to the inside lane to try and get a little bit of a slide job up top.
It's going to be interesting to see how the drivers compete around this racetrack, but tonight's action is sponsored by The Cruise Shop. They are a team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel. The Cruise Shop specializes in cruises, all-inclusive resorts, as well as escorted tours, Disney, family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. They would love the opportunity to help you plan your next dream vacation. Call them today at 260-755-6125. Now, many of these drivers getting ready for the second race of the campaign. Let's take a look at how the point standings shaked out after the first race. Tyler Jackson came away with the W in the max points day with 80 total points. Bobby Rafferty and the Jim Bieber Esports machine is just 1 point back in second. Stephen Gregory comes into today third in the standings, with Steven Spees in the fourth position. Rounding the top five, Michael Redding having a good run in the point standings so far. But of course, a points battle isn't made in just one race. Let's take a look at the race and series details here, Gary.
Yeah, for tonight, it's going to be round 2 of 11 here in the Dirt Street Stock with a heat race format. 16 drivers will make the feature, and currently a few drivers will be going home for tonight. One faster pair is available to these drivers, so if they do need a backup car, they're going to have to time it just right. Again, though, just like like I mentioned last week, these street stocks are relatively built like tanks, so it's going to take a lot of damage here to really ruin this race car.
Yeah, very versatile dirt machines to say the very least. Let's quickly take a look at the weather conditions for tonight, because it's pretty gusty at race level. 11-mile-an-hour winds currently gusting towards the west. That is currently facing towards the back straightaway at the moment. These drivers also dealing with a very cool track at 72 degrees Fahrenheit, air temp 85 degrees for tonight, Gary.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a, essentially a little bit of a warm night for these drivers. Track temp, though, a cool 71, luckily. And, of course, for tonight, the leader will be allowed a lane choice on starts and restarts. So it's going to be something to really look out for. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these drivers really chose the outside lane, as we see some drivers running there. A little bit of contact. But luckily, everyone is running relatively well for the time being. But again, the more the outside lane gets worn in, the more it rubbers in, and the more it becomes the less desirable line. So I wonder if that will be changing throughout this night.
Yeah, these drivers currently trying to get acquainted to how the track will run. Remember, the track will reset to 0% track state for qualifying in just under 4 minutes. The practice time's up on the left side of your screen now. Ultimate Dirt TV's Brett Wheeler is up on the top of the pylon, the only driver in the 19-second bracket. With Jackson in second, most of the drivers are within 0.2 of a second, Gary.
Tyler Jackson is really deadly close. He was 0.03 seconds away from getting into the 19-second bracket. He continues to set lap times. Currently, his last one was a 20.312, so he's currently just making rounds at this point here around the top side.
Now, many of these drivers getting used to what they're expecting, but let's bring in our man down at the pit lane for tonight, Devin Henry, our dirt racing expert. Devin, first things first, glad to have you with us for tonight's racing action. What are you expecting from these dirt street stocks tonight?
Well, it's good to be with you guys, and of course, as you guys mentioned, you're going to see a lot of rim riders tonight. They're going to be hugging up right on top of that cushion on the outside of the track. And when it comes to slide jobs, you're not really going to see like a natural slide job. You're kind of going to see these guys try to cut off the entry of the corner and kind of just very delicately slide up in front of whoever is next to them. The issue, though, is if you're not really within about a tenth of the guy in front of you, more than likely they're just going to come back and run you over. So it will be interesting to see if the bottom starts to make a little bit of way once the outside starts to slick over. But, of course, you want speed here. These guys will hit almost 100 miles an hour, about 10 miles an hour faster than last week at the dirt.
Yeah, it's going to be
Track at
interesting.
Charlotte.
Pardon
so
me?
you want to keep all the momentum possible on the outside. 18.5 set 2 years ago. The iRacing real lap record is an 18.3, although we'll likely see probably around Brett Wheeler's 19.9 as the fastest lap in qualifying.
Yeah, these drivers will have 4 laps to set that qualifying tempo in just under 2 minutes. We'll bring in Devin throughout the broadcast once again for tonight's racing action for what should be an interesting one. Who are some of the drivers you think that have something to prove after last week, Gary?
After last week, of course, I'm pretty sure that Bobby Rafferty is a little bit irked that he didn't really get that one extra point. We're going to have to look out for him later tonight, especially since, he wants those bragging rights. He wants those points as well. He wants to get up at the top of the board right now compared to Tyler Jackson. They're quite separated right now between the current standings right now in practice, with Tyler Jackson off in second place, Rafferty in fifth. So also there's last week, the dirt track at Charlotte, Steven Spees, I believe, I came through the field in the feature from out of nowhere, got a couple podium finishes as well. So he's going to be a driver to watch out for as well tonight.
Could be very interesting to see how these drivers compete as you look at one of the drivers working their way around this race track in Sagala, along with Spees. Here's Spees currently 4th on the practice board. So your quick thoughts here, Gary, before we get underway for 4 laps of qualifying in the span of 5 minutes.
All right, now I'm wondering how much the outside lane is going to rubber in once again, especially with all these drivers, some diamonding at the corners, some using the just straight up outside lane. We'll see how it changes throughout the night. The drivers starting in Heat 1 will have to deal with a massive difference compared to the feature later on tonight.
Drivers just about all set to go to start qualifying. As you can tell, the times amongst that top 10 were close. But it's time to lock yourself into a good heat position. Let's get ready to go for qualifying. 5 minutes to set the fastest out of 4 potential lap opportunities here at Eldora Speedway tonight. Drivers just about all set to go to come onto the racetrack as they clean up the racing surface for tonight's action. Question's going to be, who'll be the first one to go out? Looks like Bobby Rafferty is the answer in the 77.
And immediately Rafferty looks like he's going to go straight up to the top side, riding on board here as he goes down the back straightaway. We'll see what times he can put in, and immediately stuck like glue to the top side. He might diamond off the corner just a little bit, and that's going to be the key to getting as much speed as possible on corner exit.
Take a look as Rafferty currently works his way along that top cushion, wheeling his way down that D-shaped back straightaway, this time electing to use the bottom side in 3 and 4. Again, he'll have multiple attempts to try and build up momentum and speed across the stripe for the first time around. The time is going to be a 20.391, smacks the wall in his second lap.
It looks like he will abandon that lap and try to start over again, taking a look at Aiden Young now, currently sitting P3 for the time being. And we'll see what Young's time can come across us here at the start-finish line.
Yeah, he had some decent times in practice in the 21s. It's a 20.5, though, to start here. And again, these drivers have a couple laps to build up as much of this momentum as they can to try and top that here in that span.
Yeah, multiple attempts for these drivers. They can use all the time possible, all the, of course, 5 minutes. So a lot can change within these 5 minutes as well. Taking a look now, Brian Dean with the fastest lap time at 20.343 for the time being.
Taking a look right now at Dean as he works his way on the bottom. He is currently in second position. Speeds has just knocked him off the provisional pole. Not able to bump up his time, though, across the stripe for the 3rd time bump. Speeds with a 20.329 to start things off for much of these drivers in their second runs. Some decent speed, but that has already fallen off about 4 tenths or so from practice.
I'm currently taking a look right now at Brett Wheeler. He's about to finish his first lap. We'll see if he can get the fast time at the start-finish line. And looks like that lap has been invalidated, actually. He must have contacted the wall. So, unfortunately, he does have... Well, fortunately for him, he does have another chance. But unfortunately, that lap time did not count the last time around. So, riding the outside wall at the start-finish line, we'll see if he can set at least another sub 19 second time. 20.271, new pole position and a new provisional pole, at least for the 70 of Wheeler.
And that's the thing, though, when it comes to Wheeler, the Australian-New Zealand regional driver is such a talented competitor. We've seen that they're able to bump speeds off the top of the board. Tyler Jackson, though, he's coming around for the middle of his second lap. Currently in third position, running alongside the cushion, may have taken the wall just a little bit on the entry to turn 3. This time by, though, it's a 20.566. That is 3/10 off, so it seems so far, Gary, second lap has been the best lap of majority of these competitors.
That second lap is definitely going to be more than likely the capitalization lap for these drivers as well. As Jackson comes across the start-finish line, unfortunately cannot make a better lap time at all. A massive amount of time lost as well compared to his fast lap. So quite interesting really to see what these drivers are dealing with right now.
And mostly everybody has already completed their qualifying times. Only 2 competitors have not recorded times. Roger Woody and Donnie Moore. Woody has just rolled his way out onto the racetrack. Let's send it down trackside to Devin. Devin, what's your take on what you've seen throughout this qualifying session so far?
Well, it's kind of what I already expected to be. Rim riding, trying to find that speed out on the outside. What I didn't expect already was this track to already slick off. And on the broadcast, you can kind of see the difference. The black and then the kind of lighter round tacky stuff. If this was real life and you went down and you touched that black stuff, it would feel almost exactly like slick concrete. So the more that those guys run on that black stuff, it's harder to keep your car on that. So depending on how much tougher that line gets, you might be seeing a lot of guys in the heat race start just bouncing off the walls.
Especially since, remember, a lot of these track conditions carry over to those heat races, Devin.
Absolutely, and these guys weigh 1.5 tons. Like you said earlier, Gary, these things are absolute tanks. That's about twice the amount of weight of a sprint car, if you guys can imagine that. So the inside, I don't know how much of a factor it will be. You just scrub off so much speed, but look for these guys to kind of diamond off the start of the corner a little bit more often, and that's going to help guys get in front of their competitors in the heat races.
Speaking of those, qualifying is done. Woody is the last of the total qualifiers. Everyone just about all set to go to make their way trackside for the first heat race of tonight's action. Let's take a look at how those stack up for this heat race, where Donnie Moore is the man who comes out with the first spot for this heat. Among some of the other drivers in this heat, as you can see the qualifying order up on the screen, we'll see Austin Belke amongst that grouping. Brandon Winstead, Aiden Young, Bobby Rafferty, Brett Wheeler will be in the first heat of this race. Going to be interesting to see because, as you can tell, drivers starting from lowest qualifying order in each of the heats right now to the fastest drivers at the back end of the group.
It's gonna be quite interesting to see how the invert really works out for these drivers, especially with Brett Wheeler, where right now is the top 2 drivers to advance. Top 2 drivers will advance into the feature out of currently 5 heats right now. So 8 laps each for all these heats, and the invert is going to be pretty much all these heats. So it's not going to be the first time that we will be seeing this.
Yep, indeed. And drivers currently getting ready on the racetrack. We apologize for the technical difficulty as the drivers currently continue to prepare to make the way onto the racetrack. 8 laps for each of the heat races tonight. All the drivers will be fighting to get inside the top 2. Going to be a lot of nervous drivers tonight to make it into the show. Again, just 16 total will make it to the feature tonight by the end of all of tonight's action. All the drivers lined up behind the iRacing official pace truck, currently making its way through turns 3 and 4. We'll go around one more time before we let them loose, Gary.
And right now, Donnie Moore did not grid. I don't believe he saw a qualifying time either. In fact, he has called it a night for some reason, maybe some hardware issues for the number 26. So now it's going to be 5 drivers racing for 2 positions here as we are on the final pace lap as we get your picture back here.
Yes, indeed. So only 5 drivers able to make the first heat race. Unfortunate for Donnie Moore. Donnie Moore did not put in a qualifying time. He was the only driver to not do so tonight. That, in turn, is going to mean a good thing for Brandon Winstead. That moves him up to the control car spot. Pace truck is off. Green flag is out. Heat race number 1 is underway. Already the drivers trying to slide their way through turn number 2. Belke trying to get the run on the outside. Rafferty trying to dive into the bottom. Going for the slide job as everyone's squeezing each other on the cushion. Car spinning around. Winstead gets spun. Rest of the drivers keep going as Rafferty fights for the lead with Jan.
Brett Wheeler rather, up on the top side now, just behind these front 2 runners. He'll have a shot now to get into the top 2. So right now, for the time being, Bobby Rafferty running the inside lane, Aiden Young running the top side. It is 3 drivers running on essentially almost completely different lanes, and we'll see the 77 dominating the corner. No, he goes back up top. Both drivers make contact with the outside wall.
Again, Rafferty is currently on the bubble spot, battling with Wheeler, 2 of the fastest drivers in practice and in qualifying. And they are right up against the cushion trying to build up momentum. The UDTV machine just can't get the run quite yet. This is allowing Jan to pull away slowly, last time by 3/10 gain.
Again, more contact for both the 77 and the 70 in the middle of turns 1 and 2 for the time being. But meanwhile, Aiden Young just cruising along as if this is pretty much a normal race. 4 laps complete, 4 remain here in the first heat of the night. Rafferty and Wheeler still have yet to, at least battle at least 4 positions side by side, but they are definitely battling the racetrack for sure.
Now that Ford Mustang decaled machine does take a little bit of a slap. Wheeler forced to check up a little bit. He tries to dive it down to the middle line. Still can't get the run as they try and ride right up against the wall, using the wall and the cushion to rotate along. Wheeler hits the back tires on the wall, bobbles the car, goes for the slide job. The fight for the bubble spot. Can Wheeler complete the slide? No, here comes Rafferty for the crossover.
2 laps to go in the heat. Rafferty got the position at the line, and if that happens again in 1 lap's time, it's going to be Brett Wheeler advancing as he looks to the inside lane off turn number 2. Aiden Young still cruising with this lead. Brett Wheeler tries again for a slide job in turns 3 and 4. The 77 Rafferty crosses over to the inside. White flag this time by.
Final lap of heat race number 1 as they continue to fight. How will Wheeler set this up? Rafferty elects to stay along the outside, going down the back straightaway. Wheeler sets up the slide. The dive sends it all the way to the top line. Rafferty the crossover for the transfer spot to the main. Rafferty gets the spot. Aiden Young wins the heat.
A great attempt by Brett Wheeler to he set it up perfect. Unfortunately, he just couldn't keep the run up on the outside lane, but Brett Wheeler definitely knows what he can do for when it comes to the consolation race.
Yeah, he's going to definitely be a threat in that consolation race in just a little while or so. But next group of drivers are all set to wheel their machines onto the racetrack. Robbie Robinson amongst the drivers. Davey Lamont alongside Joe Segawa. Brad Speidel will also come into the field alongside Steven Spees. And it's going to be interesting to see how the 55 can cut his way through the field. Remember, he was one of the quickest cars in practice and qualifying, Gary.
Yeah, I feel like Steven Spees is one of the drivers that's kind of a sleeper, essentially. So, a really unexpected talent, essentially, for these drivers for this season. So I'm pretty sure that Steven Spees is really looking forward to showing what he is made of, because this will be 2 weeks in a row that at least at the most still 1 week, but it could be 2 weeks in a row where Steven Spees can make his way in from a heat.
1 to go signal coming this time by. Let's check in with Devin real quickly. Devin, your quick thoughts as we get ready for heat race number 2.
Last week, Spees was the guy who made the inside work and made up a ton of ground trying to get to a podium last week at Charlotte. Hey, maybe he can find some magic in this heat race, too.
We'll see if he can put on the magical charm. The Trinity Racing Machine, though, of Robinson looks to put in the full throttle run. Off into turn 1. iRacing official pace truck making its way down the pit lane. Robinson really backing up the group of 5 drivers. Bringing them to the green flag, we're underway for heat race number 2. Good launch by Robinson. Lamont tries to move his way quickly to the cushion. See who can carry the momentum down the backstretch. It's Lamont who gets the better of the run.
76 of Speidel into the outside wall. He'll fall back to P5 for the time being as the 55 of Speeds goes up top. Drag race for the lead and for the top 2 positions. Off turn number 4, Lamont already taking a big liking to the outside lane, and the 55 of Robinson trying to make the inside lane work this time around.
Lamont already pulling away by a couple car lengths down the back straightaway. Robinson still trying to make the middle bottom line work. All this is while Speidel is spying on the rest of the field. Currently losing a couple car lengths of straightaway as they fight for the transfer spot for second. Robinson being passed on the outside line. Spees hits the wall, saves the car. Will he be able to hold on to the bubble spot? Robinson tries to change that fact. Can't carry the momentum though. Spees into the transfer spot.
Right now, an eye should be kept on Joe Segala. He's also right on the top side, losing a little bit of momentum though on the entry to turn 1 that time around. As you see the end car of Davey Lamont, and also the background where you see Spees, who is very slowly but methodically catching up here to Lamont off turn number 4 at the start finish line. 4 complete, 4 to go, halfway through heat number 2.
Lamont scrapes the outside wall a little bit more in the Max Throttle Motorsports machine. Really having to put a ton of wheel into the car. Here comes the slide job though. Spees, he wants to take the lead in heat race number 2. Can't get clear though. Forces a checkup on the outside. Can he get clear in turns 1 and 2? He tries. Here comes the cross.
Down to the inside goes Davey Lamont. Drag race down the back straightaway. It could be a little bit of a crossover attempt here. Attempted by Spees. No, it's not. They squeeze up the racetrack and make a little bit of contact. But Spees comes out ahead, quite literally and figuratively here. Lamont continues to try and run the inside lane. He'll try a slide job attempt. They make contact again, but they manage to hang on to it. Spees out front.
Both of these cars holding on in their versatile machines. White flag upcoming. Spees stays on the cushion. Lamont can't complete the slide job. 1 to go in heat race number 2 from Eldora. Lamont again electing to go to the middle bottom line. This time can't build momentum. He's got himself a 0.6 of a second gap towards 3rd place. Both of these drivers though wanting the victory in the heat race. Spees, he'll hold on and win heat race number 2. Lamont comes home in the final transfer spot. Robinson 3rd, Segawa in 4th, and Speidel rounds out the top 5.
Amazing drive by Steven Spees in that heat to go for a blast to 1st. Again, he's still someone to look out for in the feature race tonight.
Next group of drivers, all set to go just about. And it will be Brendan Myers that brings them to the green flag. Brott Lovett, Stephen Gregory, J.R. Shepard, Tyler Jackson rounding out the 5. Let's bring back in Devin once again. Devin, your thoughts on the action now as we approach the midway point of the heats.
Well, guys, Speeds just put on a clinic. You want to know what a slide job needs to look like when this track starts getting slick, and if you want to see how exactly you hold off a slide job attempt, that was Speeds right there trying to hold off everyone for that heat race win. You saw him just kind of hug the wall up there and keeping his momentum. You keep that car as straight as possible, and that's what gave him the momentum off the corner to eventually move on and get that heat race win. I'm looking for more action like that, guys.
I am too at this point. It's been some intense action so far. And an interesting thing too here, Gary, Tyler Jackson making note of this before jumping into the race car and his Fear the Fin machine. That's currently sliding back and forth. The shark can't bottom feed tonight.
Yeah, Jackson is eager to get up front here for this heat race, especially since he is the points leader coming into this, granted by 1 point. He's eager to immediately make it to the feature. One upside it could be if he doesn't make it and he gets sent to the Consolation race.
All the drivers just about set to go. Love it on the bottom side. Bring them to the green flag. As off and away we go. We're racing once more. 3 wide into turn 1. What a launch for the middle row. And from third to first goes Gregory to bring them to the back straightaway.
On a hard charge down the back straightaway, the 25 of Brendan Myers, your pole sitter for this, gets sent all the way to the back of the field, while Brock Lovett tries the inside lane, side by side with Gregory off turn number 4. Gregory gets the run with the momentum on the outside lane. The battle for 2 may actually not happen because Stephen Gregory hit the outside wall, so it could be a battle for first, but they all hang on to it.
The interesting thing, the Shark said he can't bottom feed tonight. He's trying to eat and feast along the bottom alongside the inside wall. 3 wide for the transfer spot. 6 laps to go. Big checkup from Lovett. Jackson with the slide job. He moves into second in front of Shepard with the squeeze.
Shepard running on the outside lane, trying to make whatever possible, especially using that cushion to an advantage. And with the 66 peeking down to the inside lane, that's going to force Tyler Jackson to use the middle lane. And unfortunately lose a little bit of momentum there off turns 3 and 4. Halfway next time by, and the 8 of Jackson tries to squeeze Shepard here up on the top side off turn number 2.
Shepard currently being chomped at the fender. Jackson sliding in the middle of the racetrack. Still, though, the better line for Shepard. Halfway to go in heat race number 3. Shepard nearly makes contact. Jackson tries to bank it off the corner. Can't get a good run quite yet.
And what Shepard could do here is take the inside lane away from Jackson, but now Jackson opts for the high side. He'll fall in behind J.R. Shepard. 3 laps remaining while Stephen Gregory continues to just set the pace. While right now, J.R. Shepard more than likely may be looking in his mirror, despite the fact that Tyler Jackson did hit the outside wall, as we saw from the onboard Brock Lovett. But Tyler Jackson, again, used the inside lane to his advantage. There he goes, down turns 3 and 4.
Again, trying to build up momentum through the slick stuff, up through the dry stuff. Jackson still can't get the momentum, loses time this time by. Shepard, the fastest lap of the race, coming that past time by. Coming to the white flag this time by. Will Shepard be able to hold on to the transfer spot is the question in the 98. White flag this time by for Gregory.
Stephen Gregory continues to set the pace again while J.R. Shepard literally sets the pace. It's going to be a last chance effort for Tyler Jackson here off of turns 3 and 4 here because Shepard hits the wall. Dive down to the inside by Tyler Jackson. He'll try and slide job up top, drag race off turn number 4, and J.R. Shepard with the outside lane advances along with Stephen Gregory.
What a battle to try and get that final transfer spot in the heat, but Jackson will have to go through the Consolation. In the end, also going in that situation is Lovett and Myers. Next group of drivers make their way to the circuit. It'll be led by Adam Gabel, John Wilson, Justin Morton, one of the noteworthy drivers tonight, Kenny Kibbe, also Ryan Dean, and that's the 5 who will take to the racetrack. Once again, let's bring in Devin here as we approach the later portion of these heats. Devin, how do you feel this track has been progressing as these drivers have worked their way around the circuit?
Well, Jackson was showing me the inside right there, and he made up a little bit of ground, but as you saw, he eventually had to retreat back up to the high side. This is becoming a 1-lane track, even though this track is already slicked off so much on the outside. It's going to be pivotal not to make mistakes and get your car on the wall. All about momentum from here on out, guys.
Absolutely. Real quick, who are you keeping the eye on for you at the most tonight for this heat?
Oh, Brian Dean, come on, guys. I want to see some more fighting from the back. He's the only A-class driver in this heat race, and we've seen plenty of guys from the back slide on up to the front. But how is he going to do it is my question. Inside's not the greatest right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gary, your quick thoughts before we start off heat race number 4.
Well, right now I'm saying that the top side continues to rubber in. Multiple drivers have been hitting the outside wall, so maybe if these drivers take it down by at least a quarter of a lane, they may be able to get better runs here off the corner. Despite the fact that the cushion is up there for the preferred lane, may be better off to just sacrifice that quarter of a lane on the top side.
Drivers just about all set to go for heat race number 4. Gabel electing to go on the bottom side. Green flag comes out. A very slow start, a massive checkup, and Wilson gets the better launch out of everybody. What a slow start on the bottom, and everybody freight trains Gabel on the top.
Gebel did not get going, and I'm not sure why. This may be strategy. We'll find out, really. But right now, Kenny Kibbe is in line for transfer. Justin Morton as well lurking in the background. Really loose moment for John Wilson on turn 4. No drag race off the corner. Wilson not having the car handle as he wants. Kibbe up to the front.
The TDR machine of Morton got squeezed into the fence. Wilson tries to fight door-to-door down the back straightaway. Kibbe still holds on to the cushion. Coming to 6 laps to go, this time buying the heat. Wilson, though, able to carry some momentum along the wall. Not enough, though. Here comes Morton for the transfer spot.
Sneaking up on the outside, and again, losing grip is John Wilson. He just manages to hang on to at least the physical position behind Justin Morton. Although, unfortunately, John Wilson still losing a little bit of grip and losing actual track position here as Brian Dean goes to the inside. He makes contact. Oh, it's going to be a spin and hard inside contact. The caution is out for the first time tonight. Brian Dean hard into the outside wall of turn 4.
And massive amount of contact. Let's take a look at the replay here, and that's absolutely horrible luck there on that front straightaway, Gary.
And you see just heavy contact by John Wilson, and there it is. Brian Dean could have had it. You see him turn the wheel immediately to the left to try and recover it, but unfortunately, that was just not the case for the time being. But, well, aero doesn't exactly matter here at this track, of course, so we'll see if Dean can somehow sneak his way back up, but unfortunately, he's gotten relegated back to the back of the field.
There's a lower look from Wilson, and you can see that big smack. The start and finish line does indeed take around the driver. Both drivers with significant damage to the right fronts, but now it gets interesting for this heat because of the time of the caution flag. It might come down to a couple lap dash. Lights are still on top of the pace truck.
I'm double checking right now. I don't believe actually, well, we'll see really. It could be either a 1-lap shootout or it could be all over. We'll see this time by at the start finish line as Brian Dean has apparently gotten a backup car out right now.
Remember, there is a fast repair available for these drivers. They might have thought, you know what? If I want a chance to fight, I need to have a fresh car to do so instead of deal with the damage. It looks like Kibbe's elected to go to the cushion here as they go and line up double file.
Lights are out. It's going to be a 1-lap dash. Brian Dean, I wouldn't be surprised if he immediately dives for the inside in both turns 1 and turn 3. Unfortunately for, of course, there's also going to be the 91 machine of Adam Gebel. He was there lurking in the background, and he had gotten shoved back to 3rd. We'll see what he has in store on this restart.
Curious to see how these drivers react. Only 1 lap to plan your moves. White flag and green flag will come out together. Pace truck is off. Good launch from both drivers in the front row as they look to scrap for heat race number 4. Morton looks to take home the steal. Goes for the slide, the crossover from Kibbe. Side by side down the back straightaway. Can Kibbe hold on through 3 and 4? He tries to cut off Morton. Morton scrapes the wall. He banks it off the corner. Both of them will move on, but it's Kibbe who takes the checkered.
By half a car length, great attempt though by Justin Morton to hang on to it. Maybe if he didn't make that slight bit of contact with the outside wall, then maybe he may have had just a little bit more momentum to make it. But regardless though, he does make it to the feature, just doesn't have bragging rights for winning the heat.
Drivers for heat race number 5, get ready to take to the racetrack. It's the final heat for these competitors. Roger Woody, who was the slowest qualifier, will bring them to the green. Rod Snyder, Matt Janowski, along with Todd Liston, Michael Reddy round out the 5 drivers. Devin, your thoughts as we enter the final heat? Devin, do you have a copy, sir?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, guys, kind of missing out a little bit there. As we talked about earlier, your black stuff is really slick. The dark, or the light brown stuff is where that moisture is, where that grip is. And you can kind of see it's kind of sandwiched right now, where it's dark on the bottom, then light, then dark again, then light again, then dark again in the corners at least. And, you know, I'm really interested to see if these guys can really force something to get where the grip is, where the moisture is right now in the middle to make that work. It's going to be tough, though, with all this banking.
Gary, your thoughts for this final heat and the competitors in it?
Right now, of course, keep an eye on Michael Redding, 5th fastest in practice out of all these drivers. and be something to watch out for here.
We'll have to wait and see who can take home the final transfer spots and who goes to the consolation race. To book their tickets into the top 16, big launch by Snyder. He tries to cut it off early. The bottom side, though, reacts well. Woody brings them into turn 1. Can't slide up, though. Over rotates. What a save by the 09.
And somehow, some way, Matt Szymanski just managed to hang on to it. Michael Redding dives it down to the inside lane as there's a side-by-side battle for first. Liston tries to slide up the racetrack, tries to clear Ron Snyder off turn number 4. It will not happen, but here comes third fastest correction, Michael Redding from practice. He's going to try and maybe look for 3 wide. He'll stay right on the inside lane in turns 3, 4.
Woody spun out in the backdrop. He is now 9 seconds behind the leader, but Liston leads at the stripe. 6 laps to go in heat racing action. The 87 looking to try and pull away. The 30 tapped the wall in 1 and 2. Snyder, though, looking to try and steal the final transfer spot.
And we'll see if Ron Snyder has anything in store for Michael Redding here as this heat race continues on for the time being. Redding continues to dive it to the inside, tries a slide job attempt. They make contact with he makes contact with Todd Liston. That slows both of them down. Szymanski comes back up with this. Ron Snyder as well brought into the battle. Had to check up though to avoid running into the back of Todd Liston. But right now, Michael Redding out in front at the halfway point.
4 laps to go in heat racing action. Redding slide jobs his way from the bottom all the way to the cushion. Liston over rotates, trying to go for the crossover, forced to get off the gas. Snyder moves his way to the outside, can't take advantage yet. Everyone moves up to the top, except for the 00.
And Szymanski's all the way down on the inside lane here, just using that lighter gray that Devin had mentioned earlier, trying to get a run here on the inside lane, but really not enough momentum on that inside lane for Szymanski to really do anything, but he does and hopefully might have something in store as Snyder peeks down to the inside of Liston off turn 4. 2 laps to go, the start finish.
Snyder working his way closer to the cushion, staying more at the middle line this time through 1 and 2. Liston, though, he's pulled down 2-3 car lanes. White flag coming out this time by for Redding. Redding, the quickest car in the racetrack, out of the top 3. He was one of the drivers we just talked about moments ago to see if he could cut his way from last to first. He did that in the span of about a lap and a half. Michael Redding will come home with heat race number 5's victory. Todd Liston will join him in the feature. Snyder, Szymanski along with Woody will move on to the consolation. And what a race, Gary, to try and seal up the final heat race before 16 drivers look to find the consolation.
Yeah, 16 drivers will try and fight their way in. 6 will make it in. 10 will go home for tonight.
And that's a 12-lap distance for these drivers for this consolation. Let's take a look at how they will start up on your screen. There's a lot of competitive drivers in this mix. Remember, Brett Wheeler was one of the fastest drivers in qualifying, was the top man on the board. He's the man who'll bring them to the green flag for this upcoming consolation. Robbie Robinson will join him. Also keep an eye, the 3rd place qualifier, Tyler Jackson you just seen there. He's 3rd for this consolation. Dean Snyder along with Belkey, Segala, Lovett, Gebel, along with Szymanski, Winstead, Speidel, along with Myers, Wilson, Woody, and more, will be the 16 drivers in this consolation. Pressure is on here, Devin, for these drivers. There are multiple contenders for amongst the top half in this field.
Well, guys, have you ever seen the NASCAR trucks race at Eldora?
Yes, absolutely. Some
Yep.
exciting action.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a lot like that. Guys who can bang doors with these cars, guys who can bang off the wall, get a lot of momentum on the outside. Watch the number 8 of Tyler Jackson. Last time this series raced at Eldora, he led wire to wire, and now he's starting 3rd in the B-main, guys. Expect him to try to get up front early. It's going to be fun to watch. Who's going to be the 6th moving on here?
Should be some absolute fun here. And Gary, tension's on. There are plenty of drivers in the back half of the field too who might have a chance to dive their way in, who were pretty fast before they had trouble.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of redemption for most of these drivers that could not make it in, but again, only 6 will make it, so the pressure is on in these next 12 laps. Brett Wheeler, however, just needs to look out front and never look back once this pace truck pulls off.
Wheeler on the bottom side, top side, Robinson, bit of a shot from behind. Wheeler stacked up the field, green flag waves, and Wheeler nearly hit the inside pit wall trying to slide it up to the cushion. Here comes Jackson and Robinson to make it near 3 wide down the back straightaway. The first of the major slides to the bottom goes Robinson through 3 and 4.
Interestingly enough, Tyler Jackson does not immediately go for the inside lane. He tucks up behind. Now he goes for the inside lane. Tries a slide job as Brett Wheeler hits the outside wall. Caution is out in the back of the field.
And trying to look at the exact reason, Roger Woody, I believe, might have been the trigger. He had just came out of the pit lane as the leaders passed by the race cars. He had elected to start from the pit lane. Watch right here. This is right at the bottom line where many competitors were going. And because of that rapid difference in speed, I believe that was the caution, Gary.
Yeah, it's actually really a new thing that I never expected to happen. It was just definitely no fault to Roger Woody at all. It was just really just a coincidental timing in a sense. So unfortunately for Woody, he's currently stuck lap down. I don't believe he had actually gotten his car fired in time. So we'll have to see where he sorts out at the end of this.
Now remember, these drivers do have lucky dogs, but that is a potential exception. Woody is actually diving straight to the pit lane after what just happened there. So this will burn an extra couple laps off the ticker for these drivers here. Now, it's going to be interesting here what happens from here. Jackson just took the lead at the time of the caution flag. Wheeler, Robinson, Snyder, and Dean are in the top 5. Segala is in the bubble spot. What do you do first off here, Gary, if you're Jackson on this start? Take the top or stick to the bottom?
Definitely take the inside lane, at least on the restart, unless you know for a fact that you're comfortable on the top side like Jackson is doing right now, wearing in at that top side. Definitely take the top side if you know you're comfortable and you know that nobody will be able to make a move onto the inside lane as everyone else stacks up. But of course, you have to remember that there is a risk of letting that driver on the inside lane slide job you into the next few corners. Unfortunately for Roger Woody, he has decided to pull up behind the garage, possibly hardware issues.
Yeah, rough night for Woody. These cars are already bumping and banging, and they're still waiting for the green flag. Jackson elected to take the outside line. The importance of the cushion throughout this race on that 24 degrees of banking. Jackson with a good launch. Green flag's back out. 7 laps to go in the B main.
And right now it's a mad scramble mid-pack for around position number 6, or pretty much anywhere on back from P3 right now as Brett Wheeler just sits behind Tyler Jackson. The battle around 6th place currently heating up between Joe Segala and Brock Lovett for the time being.
Snyder trying to ride along the cushion, smacks the wall instead. Able to still keep it going though with a good amount of wheel. All these drivers trying to hold on to the transfer spot. Segala in the 81 is in the bubble spot. Brock Lovett is on his tailpipe. Segala though with a bad run down the straightaway. 5 to go. Lovett with the slide job. Can he complete it? No. Over rotates the 66.
Unfortunately, it's been a thing that we're seeing when people try and dive it down quickly down to the inside as this battle just up ahead of the transfer spot continues on. Brandon Winstead now will try his shot. He'll make it 3 wide off turn number 4, staggered 3 wide, dives it down to the inside. A slide job attempt maybe on Joe Segala. That does not happen. Winstead still on the outside looking in as continuing to run the inside lane is Robbie Robinson in the 56.
Lots of fighting, these drivers losing tons of time. This is as the race leaders are scrapping. Coming to 3 to go. Jackson and Wheeler just side by side up the road from these other competitors. The thing is here, Gary, that side by side has led to a 0.4 of a second lap difference between the top 2 and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I believe they may have finally sorted itself out as we ride on board Brandon Winstead, peeking down to the inside lane as the drivers continue to make contact and battle it out. for P3 ahead of these drivers. More contact between Ron Snyder and Brian Dean as they still continue the battle. And Winstead got so close off turn number 2 to P6. White flag, last chance for Winstead this time by.
Will he be able to send the hard dive is the question. White flag is out. Drivers still fighting for the lead up the road. Wheeler, the slight job. Can't complete the momentum. Jackson still holds onto the cushion. Jackson takes away the bottom side this time. Wheeler, will he be able to wheel it on the top? No, Tyler Jackson wins the B-main. Wheeler second, Snyder and Dean third and fourth, Robinson fifth to go in sixth as they spin behind them. Winstead spins at the stripe and finishes seventh.
He made it 3 wide in the final corner, along with the number 66 of Brock Lovett. They tried to make it 3 wide. They tried the inside lane, but Joe Segala prevailed up on the outside lane in the end.
The drivers who do not make it: Winstead, Lovett, Speidel, Shanowski, along with Belkey, Myers, Wilson, Gabel, along with Woody. Moore did not make the start tonight for his machine. So now, 5 more minutes for these drivers to work in this track a little bit more before tonight's 40-lap feature race. And this should be entertaining. First things first, I'll start with you, Gary, in this discussion for tonight's feature. What are some of your takeaways from the racing we've seen throughout the features and the Consolation to block the tickets for many of these competitors to get to the feature tonight?
I see some of them are not too, they're not scared really. They're not nervous to just throw it into the corner down to the inside and slide job the other. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more of that. Maybe a little bit more drivers running the middle to inside lanes as well for this feature. But wouldn't be surprised again if the top side wears off. Maybe, just maybe, we might be seeing some drivers adapt to the lower lanes.
And that's going to be the big question here in terms of that. Devin, let's swing it over to your way, your takeaway on what Gary said and how you feel this track's going to respond.
Well, the high side is definitely going away right now, and what that means is that it's slicking off so bad, that really shiny black stuff right there. I mean, basically turn these cars into asphalt street stocks at that point. That's how much they're flying around. You saw how much these guys are bouncing off the wall. That's because these cars just can't stick on the bottom when they're going 77, 79 miles an hour in the center of this corner. I'm really intrigued to see if someone can make where you see someone more of that light brown, and you make that work, because it's just so hard to hit your marks every single time on the high side.
It's been something that's absolutely been a difficulty for some of these drivers at this point. What can you do, though, to try and compensate for that?
You just got to keep the car as straight as possible, and naturally that's way easier said when I'm sitting here in my living room than done when you're racing on the track itself. So the more straight you can keep your car, even if you're on the bottom, and even if that means getting out of the throttle, if you can go door to door with someone down into turn 1 or into turn 3, you do have a slight advantage because you do have lane selection. But I'm really interested that no one is really, kind of like the way that I see a slide job here at Eldora, is you kind of diamond off that first part of 1 and 2, and you just let the car float up to the wall. Now the danger there, though, is the guy on the outside is going to have a lot of momentum, and boy, you're going to send out a quick little prayer, please don't dump me as I slide up in front of you.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be bump and ran or dumped at any point, especially in the feature race for these drivers. Many of them are actually trying to work in the bottom as well in this practice session, should note. Now, let us swing back your direction here, Gary. Many of these drivers showed some good performances and some great speed here for this second race of the season. Who are some of the drivers you're keeping an eye on for the feature race tonight?
Right now, I'm keeping an eye on Tyler Jackson, points leader, and still continuing on. But at the same time, Bobby Rafferty, he's starting a number of positions ahead. I believe about 5 positions ahead. Bobby Rafferty, second place in points coming into this race by 1 point. So Bobby Rafferty can at least finish ahead of Tyler Jackson for this feature event. I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing a little bit of a shakeup here in the point standings. Another driver that I'm keeping an eye on as well is going to be Steven Spees. And also, just from out of nowhere, Aiden Young, because, I mean, he just came out into first place from out of nowhere, qualified first, I believe new to the series this week as well. So quite interesting to see how this will play out for tonight, especially for, I believe, again, his first race of the season.
Aiden Young showed some pretty impressive speed in his heat race, to say the very least. He's been a member on iRacing since 2014 for reference sakes in this machine. We have seen him before, mind you, in different types of racing across various different networks. Familiar name potentially for the CSI Shock Series, if you remember, in the wintertime, Gary, for example, where drivers were competing for major opportunities for rear-world suspension packages.
It's going to be quite interesting, really, to see how Aiden Young adapts to these as compared to the these dirt street stocks as compared to the winged 360 sprints, which they're running in just this upcoming Wednesday here on GSRC as well. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm really interested in how Aiden Young has adapted to this because, well, he's definitely done a lot of practice for now, that's for sure.
All the drivers are wrapping up their practice. It's time to show what they've learned throughout the night and try and applicate it to a victory. Drivers will now make their way to the pit lane to roll out for tonight's action. Let's go 10 at a time, shall we, for the 16-car grid tonight. And via the hill draw, it is Yun, who was the main talking point just moments ago, who will bring them to the green flag in tonight's feature. Alongside him on the grid will be Steven Spies for tonight's racing action in the second round of the season. Gregory and Kibbe are in row number 2 and 3rd and 4th, with Ruddy and Rafferty in 5th and 6th. The bot will start in 7th, J.R. Shepard in 8th, Morden and Liston round out the top 10, Gary.
Starting in the 11th, it will be your points leader, Tyler Jackson. Brett Wheeler, one of the fastest drivers in the Consolation race, providing a win and an amazing battle with Jackson as well. Keep an eye on those two. They start 11th and 12th respectively. Ron Snyder starts off in 13th. 14th place will be Brian Dean. 15th, Robbie Robertson, and Joe Segala rounds out the 16th place position.
Fireworks under display at Eldora Speedway. And these drivers ready to put on a fireworks show on the surface here in a few moments. Devin, your quick keys to victory.
First of all, you can't fight too hard for real estate. These guys will beat and bang, but as we saw in early heats, if everyone's trying to be in one spot on the top, you're not gonna last. And number 2, look out for other rubber on the track. Just because everyone's on the top doesn't mean that there's spots elsewhere on the track that you're not gonna have a grip. Find that light brown stuff. Try to get a little bit of momentum off the corner, guys.
We'll see how they respond throughout the race. Yun has elected to take the top side for the green flag. Lamont has gotten an end of longest line penalty. He was originally slotted to start in 7th. Instead, will start shotgun. iRacing official pace truck making its way through turns 3 and 4. Buckle up, folks. It's time for some wild racing from Eldora Speedway. Pace truck is off. Yun in control, green flag waves, we're underway for 40 laps of racing action. 3 wide already into turns 1 and 2. The slide jobs fight, near 4 wide, a big checkup for the bottom side from Jackson.
Tyler Jackson gets sent all the way back in the back half of the field after getting up to at least positional, 4th place position on the inside. And right now it's going to be Aiden Young pulling away. Steven Spies right on his back bumper, following Seal on the top side. It's a mad scramble in the middle of turns 1 and 2, quite literally, for any lane that suits these drivers here this time by.
Speed's already up to the cushion, but drivers fighting on the bottom side still. Kibbe holds forward, while the rest of the Hornets' nest continues to develop. Lots of craziness already in this race. About 7th on back. Just take a look at how much dirt's flying along that cushion.
That's going to be really interesting to see how these drivers handle all of that dirt just flying into their face right now. As seeing Brett Wheeler try and make it 3 wide on the inside of J.R. Shepard and the outside of Michael Redding. But unfortunately, Wheeler will have to relegate back up to the top side. And right now, a few drivers that were using the inside lane having to fall back. Hard contact a little bit on the outside for Tyler Jackson. Bobby Rafferty, meanwhile, makes his way up to P3. Kibbe looks to the inside, maybe off turn 4. He decides not to. 3 wide just behind him.
Goes down to 2 wide. Shepard tries to squeeze his way to the cushion. A little bit of contact from Brett Wheeler. Wheeler tries to ramp his way down the backstretch. Near 3 wide still as Wheeler goes for the slide job. Can he complete the pass? Nearly goes into Kibbe's door. Can't complete it. Forced to let off.
Right now he's hanging on, and he'll shut the door hard on Tyler Jackson's front nose. He makes contact on the outside wall. Jackson again getting shuffled back as Stephen Gregory slides up in front of him. They make contact. Michael Redding on the inside now of number 8. Wheeler tries again for another slide job. He'll slide it right in front of Kenny Kibbe, who has to check up. They go 3 wide off turn number 4, and this is just for position number 4. Kibbe all the way down on the inside lane.
Kibbe can't complete the slide, nearly over-rotates, and he'll drop all the way back to the 8th position like a rolling stone. Jackson, though, cuts him off. He tries to ride the middle line. That's starting to form up now. At this portion of the race, 33 laps to go.
Right on the back bumper and diving to the inside goes Michael Redding. He'll try a slide job attempt, and it will not pay off, unfortunately, for Michael Redding. A little bit of contact again for the 8 off turn number 2. Brett Wheeler now dives it down to the inside. Slide job attempt on J.R. Shepard for position at number 4 on the racetrack. Shepard immediately down the inside lane, who nearly over-rotates. He makes contact as well with Stephen Gregory. A lot of action going on right now. Gregory hits the back bumper of Shepard. He goes to the inside. Everyone scrambling for position continuously here right now.
Once again, amongst some of the slide choppers, Gregory. It's just not working like it was in the heat races early on. Gregory nearly gets turned. Jackson forced to check up. That could have been disaster. Instead, they hold on to 6 and 7 as Jackson gets damage on the rear side.
And right now, Michael Redding goes down to the inside lane. Tyler Jackson not really in his best element right now. A little bit in the front half of the pack, but more than likely, he knows he's fast enough to get up front. He's just having a few complications. He'll dive it down to the inside. Slide job attempt at 2 cars. It's going to be 1 as they make contact. Stack up on the outside lane as an according effect happens. Gregory now tries a slide job of his own in turn number 3. Does he have enough momentum? He'll slide just up in front of Tyler Jackson. He makes contact and gets turned off turn number 4. He just manages to save it on the inside.
Able to avoid the inside wall as he tries to slide his way back up to the top line. Cuts off Kibbe. And look who's charging. Remember that end of longest line penalty for Lamont? Lamont is now on the doorstep of the top 10. Can he complete the pass to hold on to 10? No, Kibbe shoves him off like a coat.
Now for the top 3 now between Bobby Rafferty and Brett Wheeler now, as Brett Wheeler dives it down to the inside. Slide job up the racetrack, way up top. Rafferty immediately sees what's coming. Goes right back down to the inside lane. Drag race off turn number 4, past the stripe. And we are closing in on halfway as Wheeler heavy contact on the outside wall as Rafferty has a small and subtle slide job. Wheeler goes back down to the inside. These 2 train positions back and forth.
Rafferty elects to take the top side this time. Wheeler elects to go for the slide. Bit too much momentum, hit the outside wall, still able to hold up Rafferty though. So the Jim Beaver Esports machine drops to 4th as Weaver and Rafferty eat the outside fence. This time Rafferty with a better exit though. Wheeler trying to make sure his wheels don't touch the walls again here at Eldora. As they come to 25 laps to go, despite all the bumping and banging, they closed up a little tiny bit on speeds along with Young, the top 2.
David Lamont, meanwhile, all the way in the background, continues to make his rounds and attempt to pass on the inside lane. And unfortunately, that inside lane does not work out too much for him on turns 1 and 2. He'll try a slide job on Kenny Kibbe now, and he will make it successful. Kibbe is not going to have enough room to make it to the inside. Move Lamont into the top 10 this time by.
Now everyone's starting to get a bit spread out on the same half of the racetrack right now. The distance from 1st to 16th, 10.5 seconds. Coming to 22 laps to go. But already on the bottom side, Jackson trying to recover some positions. Cuts off Lamont. Lamont says, I didn't like that. Gives a little bit of a naughty tap. Lamont gets punished by eating the outside fence on the backstretch. He tries to set it for the slide job. Can he try and complete it on 2 cars at once? No, neither car works out.
Michael Redding now just absolutely holding up Tyler Jackson and Davey Lamont, who tries a slide job on both drivers now. Lamont taps the outside wall. Jackson goes down to the inside of Redding. These 2 are not done yet. Tyler Jackson dives it down to the inside, slide job attempt on the number 3 of Lamont. Lamont easily and immediately crosses over down to the inside lane. They make contact down the straightaway, and that time by, it was P8 to Davey Lamont.
And Jackson really testing the wear of these street stocks. He is absolutely battered and beaten. Just take a look at that left front fender. You can see how much is flared up for the amount of contact. Lamont hits the back end of Jackson. He spins, going backwards for the first caution flag of the race. And this will change a lot because the top 4 had all gone into a rhythm under 2 seconds apart. Now, they'll be battling once more after this incident.
And you see the replay here. It was just a quick over rotation, unfortunately, by the number 3. A quick spin, however, nothing too major, but I have to say, I am admittedly out of breath. That was absolutely incredible, an incredible first half that we had so far. Indoor shot, you could just see the wheel there in the bottom left corner of your screen. How much Lamont has to turn the wheel. He tries and tries, but unfortunately, he knew it was too much at that point.
So that brings out the first caution flag of this heat race in BRL Dirt Street Stock Series action. And already Aiden Young indicating he'll take the outside line. Again, the cushion has been the preferred line most of the night for these starts here. So Gary, it's been a fun one, but Young so far looking calm, cool, and collected at the head of the field.
More than definitely. He had a little bit of a gap as well in Steven Spies, and Spies, he and Spies are a little bit even, actually, I believe, throughout that little bit of a run that we had. I'm personally double checking their times right now. Well, fastest lap between the two, it goes to Aiden Young, a 20.53 even, as opposed to Spies with a 20.602. So we'll see if Spies has anything here on this restart. So the lights are out.
Indeed, he is on the outside line here, and we'll have to see how he battles on the inside. In second spot is Spies. Third position sees Wheeler alongside Rafferty. Rounding up the top 5, Gregory, who does have crushed in front nose. Also keep an eye on J.R. Shepard in the 6th position. Drivers all set to get back underway. 16 laps to go from Eldora. Pace truck is off. Green flag is out. And a good launch from both lines, but again, just like the heat race, Gregory tries to send it 3 wide. This time it doesn't work. We were able to cut him off as the over-rotation makes it 3 wide down the back.
4 wide nearly down the back straightaway off turn number 2, and somehow Stephen Gregory actually makes contact with the outside wall. He and Gibby will continue on the lead. Tyler Jackson in the middle 3 wide off turn number 4. He'll slice his way through up to almost top 5 if he can complete the slide job on J.R. Shepard, and he does. Shepard, however, gives him a little bit of a bump. Wouldn't be surprised if we dive to the inside. Well, we do, but it's not from J.R. Shepard. It's from Brett Wheeler on P3, but it will not work. Speeds dives down back to the inside. Third place at the line.
Back and forth they go. 14 laps to go in this feature race. Wheeler now on the back gearbox of Spies. Spies, though, with a bit of a bobble. Losing a couple car lengths as they fight alongside the cushion. This is all allowed Rafferty and Young to now pull away in the top 2. The biggest gainer from the caution flag. That's 77, a +2 in the span of 2 laps as the rest of the top 5 smacks the wall.
Pretty much the entire drivers, all the drivers on the outside line are now hitting the outside wall. They're getting a bit too close. Look at that dive from Brett Wheeler all the way up. Can't complete the slide job, however, on Steven Spies. Spies continues to run the top side. Jackson, however, wants a piece of his own. Rafferty wants a piece of the lead. Slide job on Aiden Young. They make contact. And right now it's 2 slide jobs at one time, but most notably Bobby Rafferty for the lead. Aiden Young dives back down to the inside, tries a slide job of his own on this end of the Speedway, and squeezing by on the outside for the first time today. Bobby Rafferty leads at Eldora with 10 to go, 11 to go, rather.
First lead change of this feature race. Now is the question, can Rafferty pull away? He taps the outside wall. Young, though, trying to play defense while trying to play offense at the same time. Losing 2 car lengths in the span of a lap. However, towards his left side, Spies looking to try and time things up. Forced to go up to the cushion as they reach lap traffic. It's Todd Liston saying hello.
And right now on the inside of Tyler Jackson, well, never mind. Now on the inside of Steven Spies, Brett Wheeler tries a double slide job. It will not work, unfortunately, that time by. He'll lose a lot of momentum on the inside lane. He'll get relegated to the fifth place position.
Contact. Kibbe gets spun around. Caution is out for the second time, and that is a huge one. Door-to-door contact with Gregory after the 97 rolled the outside fence towards the start and finish line, and Kibbe Gary was sent away like a pinball.
And I believe at that same time, Brett Wheeler actually made contact with the inside pit wall. It was really close, but you see the contact there off turn number 4, unfortunately sending Kenny Kibbe to the back of the field. This onboard shot going to be the best look, as you see Stephen Gregory up on the outside lane, and just a little bit of contact right there with the wall, and that just sends the momentum into Kenny Kibbe, sending him for a quick spin.
By the way, can confirm that Wheeler did tap the inside wall and crushed in his fender just a little touch bit. However, he dropped to 5th position in that situation. Now, though, Rafferty going to have to play defense. Lights are still on top of the pace truck. Young is in 2nd. Spees, Jackson, Wheeler is the top 5. Let's bring in Devin, as this will be what appears to be a potential 5-lap shootout. What's the strategy for these drivers now, and what could be the race-winning restart?
Watch this restart here for Aiden Young. In dirt bike racing, you call it a block pass. Watch for him to kind of cut off turn number 1. If he can slide up in front of Rafferty and kind of take away the outside without letting him get back under him for the crossover, that's a beautiful block pass. It might just be enough to get him back to the lead and finish off this race up front. But hey guys, how about Tyler Jackson and Brett Wheeler from 11th and 12th to 5th and 6th?
Yeah, some big-time movers, absolutely. 3 positions gained in the race for Shepard, +6 for Wheeler. The biggest overall was Jackson, a +7, making about a +8, give or take, depending on how he shapes out on the preferred line. Rafferty did choose the outside line. Can the Jim Beaver Esports machine come away with the checkered flag? 5-lap shootout to decide it from Eldora. Green flag is out. Great launch by Yun. Bump trap from behind from Jackson. Here comes the send by Yun. Will he make the block? He stops Rafferty
big crash
instead.
in the back.
Big one behind them. Caution is out. And this might set up an interesting scenario.
There's a massive crash in the back, I believe, from Stephen Gregory. We'll see here on the replay. Down on the inside lane, makes a little bit of contact with Wheeler. Sees just manages to edge out of that, but you see just how much contact is essentially the big one off of turn number 2, and somehow, for the most part, well, I think Kibbe just barely manages to make it through. I believe the 77, or that white and orange vehicle, rather, just manages to make it through. The 23, thank you, Devin, manages to make it through that, I think, without contact.
Take a look at, you can see is that 23 was among some of the drivers in the middle. Here's a look now from Dean, and Dean tried to go everywhere. 4 wide wrecking in front of him, able to get through cleanly. My goodness, what a situation here. But now this is going to set up an interesting race scenario now. They're lined up behind the iRacing official pace truck, and buckle up, Gary, because the way they're forming up, this might be a 1-lap shootout to decide the feature.
This is going to be quite interesting. Look out for Tyler Jackson. He wants to, yes, lights are out. 1-lap shootout here. Watch out for Tyler Jackson, Bobby Rafferty, because Jackson is not letting go of that top spot in the point standings all too easily. Coming from 11th now up to 3rd as of that caution. It's going to be something to watch out for, and this last restart is going to be absolutely wild. Aiden Young elects the top side.
Guys, watch out for Brett Wheeler, too. He knows how to send it coming from the 3rd row.
He's going to have to come for the top from towards the middle of the pack, though. It's the question of who's going to hold on for half a mile. Green flag is out. Young stacks them up. Rafferty with a better launch, though. He sends it hard on the bottom. Will he do the same block move as Yun? Yes, he does. Yun forced to check up. Here comes Jackson on the bottom side. Who will come over the checker? Jackson slides up. Contact with Yun. Yun hits Rafferty. They sandwich together. 4 wide to the checker flag. Bobby Rafferty wins it at Eldora.
Oh my goodness. An incredible finish by Bobby Rafferty to just hang on to it. Replay coming up here of that amazing finish. It was practically almost 5 wide there. Everyone was fanning out. My goodness, an impressive job. And you see there, everyone just making contact. There's the 4 wide moment, albeit a bit staggered, but it is 4 wide nonetheless. And it's essentially a drag race for P2 by 3 drivers. It all squished together as well.
And there was that move that was going to be potentially coming with what we've seen on Rafferty prior to the last caution flag. That ends up being the winning move in the 1-lap shootout for the Jim Beaver Esports machine. He'll get the chance to celebrate in victory lane, and we'll join him in post-race coverage after these messages. You're watching the Global SimRacing Channel, live from the virtual Eldora Speedway. Welcome back, everyone, to the beautiful virtual Eldora Speedway after a thrilling race in BRL Dirt Street Stocks action. Tonight's race is presented by the Crew Shop. Call them today at 260-755-6125. It came down to a thrilling 1-lap shootout, but Bobby Rafferty won by just over a 1/10 of a second over Tyler Jackson to take his first W of the season. Aiden Young came home in third to round to the podium. He'll be joining us in post-race coverage in just a few moments. Steven Spees came home in fourth. Justin Morden quietly with a top 5 run, while Brett Wheeler bumped his way to 6th position. Team finished in 7th. Lamont recovered from an EOL penalty at the start of the race to 8th place after getting as high as the mid-portion of the top 5. While Kenny Kibbe and Todd Liston rounded out the top 10 gearing.
Finishing in 11th, it is Joe Segala. Ron Snyder finishes in the 12th place position. Robbie Robinson comes home in 13th. Stephen Gregory 14th, 15th. Michael Redding and J.R. Shepard rounds out your 16-car field, all finishing on the lead lap.
Absolutely thrilling race today, and it's going to be a heck of a celebration. Bobby Rafferty coming home with the checkered flag tonight, as he will join us in just a moment here in GSRC Victory Lane. Have to quickly ask your thoughts here at this point, Devin, from your input. Crazy race, your thoughts?
That was so realistic to Eldora, to be honest with you guys. What screams Eldora more than a 4-wide finish there? And those passes and not making mistakes became so important towards those closing laps. And of course, those restarts. How could you not love those late restarts and making a little bit of action for us?
Absolutely, and I definitely think Rafferty is going to be over the moon with the type of racing we've just seen. See if we can get a word with Rafferty right here, right now. Yes, indeed, he joins us in Victory Lane. Bobby, it was a last lap for the ages. Talk us through from your perspective.
Oh man, what an absolute barn burner of a race. Anybody that'll say that sim racing isn't real racing, I dare them to go back and watch that or do what we just did, because I've been racing in real life for 20 years and I'm actually a little bit shaky right now from that. That was an absolute awesome race with Aiden, and give it up for Tyler from coming from the back all the way to the front. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Jackson went from 11 to second in that reference point, but man, talk us through your battle to get yourself in that situation, because at one point you were in fourth, then the caution flag started going your direction.
Yeah, I mean, with Eldora, I was like I told you guys last week, I was hoping that that bottom lane would come in, and it never did, which is unfortunate because I think if we can get the bottom lane ever to work at this track, it would be absolutely phenomenal. But it's pretty much a game of patience and try not to bounce it off the wall too many times. And it took me that first 20 laps to get comfortable and figure out how to enter the corner without scrubbing too much speed, but without knocking down the wall. And then, like you said, the cautions started falling our way because it's so top dominant. Being up on that top side was huge for me.
Yeah, especially when you went to fourth to second on one of those starts. But so far, good campaign to begin. You're currently tied for the points lead after 2 races. Your thoughts on the early portions of this season?
Well, I'll tell you what, it just shows you the competition level in this league, how much it is stepped up just from one season to the next. And you had Tyler that won last week's feature, our opening week, and he ended up finding himself in a consi. So you're gonna have to be on your game and focus on points racing and focus on consistent finishes. But you're gonna definitely need some luck this season too to get a championship. But I'm not complaining whatsoever on second place and a first place to start out the year. That's definitely some good momentum there. I'm just praying that Tyler can keep his normal work schedule and he doesn't have to go to second shift, and me and him can fight it out with a lot of these other guys for championship this season. I think it's going to be really, really good.
I think so as well. Is there anyone you want to thank before I let you go, though?
Yeah, of course. I got to thank Bootleg Racing League and the cruise shop. I also got to thank you guys at Global SimRacing Channel for broadcasting this for us as well. And then I got to thank my team. I got to thank Jim Beaver Esports and all my guys over there. We've got such a great group of guys, and our sponsors got General Tire, Jim Beaver's Down and Dirty Radio Show, Polaris Razor, Vision Wheels, Rigid Industries LED Lighting, Dirtfish, GSP XTV axles, Gibson Performance Exhaust, Acronis, O7 Designs, and Sant Racing Fabrication. And just if I can, I want to give a heads up to everybody. I'm fortunate enough to be spotting for one of my best friends, Joe Graff Jr., who races in the Xfinity Series in real life, and he will be running in the Pro Invitational this weekend. I'll be up on the spotter stand for him, so everybody go and check that race out. And if you guys are looking for somebody to root for, grassroots guys, Joe and me, we're definitely grassroots racers still to this day.
Congratulations on the victory, and good luck fighting your way into the overall big show on Sunday.
Thank you very much, Justin. I appreciate it. You guys have yourselves a great night.
You have a great night as well. That was Bobby Rafferty coming home with the victory, a second place in race 1 on top of the podium tonight. Tyler Jackson is now standing by with Gary Weaver. He came home in second.
Here with the still technically points leader, although tied for first by 0 points at 157 points total for the time being, at least. Tyler Jackson, you had raced your way from the back, I believe, twice throughout this event. Yes, actually twice. So it's going to be pretty much a wild night for you. How was the car handling out there for you and the feature overall?
I was handling all right. Handles a lot better when you don't have 2 or 3 guys hanging on you. It's a little one-laned here, so it's kind of a demo derby.
That's definitely a wild run as well. From your charge from 11th up to 2nd place, what was going through your head there on that restart?
The restart, the second from the last restart, I thought I had a good shot to stay a little lower. I thought maybe those two would get collected in front of me, and they did. And yellow came out. I didn't want to see that. So last restart, it was just kind of run the middle, and maybe they'd tangle, but it was pretty good 3-wide finish for second.
Before we go ahead and let you go, who are your sponsors or friends that helped get it done for you there?
First, got to thank girlfriend for letting me come down here and put the time in. And I got Jack's EDM out of McChesney Park, Illinois, NC Resources out of Poplar Grove, Illinois. And I got to thank my crew chief, Jose Gill. He's at work right now watching.
Well, thank you for your time. We hope to talk to you again next week. And, well, congratulations on your second place finish here for tonight's event.
Thank you.
That was Tyler Jackson coming home second tonight. Standing by with the third place finisher is Devin Henry. Devin, over to you.
Aiden Young taking third. Aiden, I know not necessarily the finish you're looking for there with starting on pole and starting with that last restart. Take me through that closing lap there and that wild restart you guys had.
Just a lot of beating and banging, just going through my head, just trying to finish first, where I've been most of the night, but just came up a little bit short.
Had that first really long run, and you were looking so good up in front. What was the key there in that first long run that led you to having such a large lead over the field?
It was just basically me keeping it out of the wall and just keep my head in the game, because after not being able to run the first race because of a fire call, I'm really happy just to come home with a third place finish.
Hey, well, glad to have you here. Anyone that you want to thank for this performance today?
I just want to thank Evil Outlaw Motorsports, all my teammates for running with me, all my sponsors on the car, and you guys for broadcasting.
Hey, well, thank you, and glad to have you along with us. Third place tonight at Eldora.
Once again, thank you very much to our three finishers up at the top of the standings. Bobby Rafferty, Tyler Jackson, Aiden Young for joining us for post-race coverage. It's time to say goodbye here from Eldora. It was a thrower tonight. We'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's action for BRL Action for the Street Stock Dirt Stocks. We also like to thank this whole organization for running what has been a wonderful series, as well as our sponsor tonight, the Cruise Shop. We'd like to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast, listed up on your screen in just a moment. Additional thanks go to Jude Lawn, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, in Gary, Sean, all along with Devin. And if you'd like to find out more about GSRC, Joe, a part of the thanks as well for tonight, including the upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out our merchandise for sale at gsrc.storemby.com. Or you can check out our social media at Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to that big red YouTube subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss a moment here on Global SimRacing Channel. Lots of upcoming races coming up on the schedule, including more dirt street stocks action. Be sure to catch that here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Be sure to mark down your calendar, because until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.